Hey terror addicts, welcome to Night Terrors, delivering your favorite scary stories every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So if you're addicted to terror, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. And now, let the terror begin. It started 3 months ago, the dark spots in the water. I'm residing at my seaside cottage, my own personal getaway that I purchased 3 years ago. The back deck looks out on the Sound along the shore of the Outer Banks in North Carolina. It's always been one of my favorite vacation spots, and when I published my third book last year, the royalties allowed me to buy this cottage. I don't have any neighbors. I specifically wanted it that way. I plan to write my fourth book here, and I wanted to ensure peace and quiet as I worked away at it. There's a little pier that stretches out into the Sound from beneath my deck. The sound of the water gently slapping against the wood stimulates my creative mind like nothing else can. I was sitting on the dock a couple days ago when I noticed it for the first time. The dark spots in the water. They were circular and about 4 feet in circumference. I counted 4 of them about 20 feet from where I stood at the end of the pier. The sun was setting, strips of blank cloud colored by scars of brilliant soft orange. The water caught the light and made it sparkle, a twinkling of stars on the gentle surface. Except for the circles of black. Those patches seemed to absorb the light, sucking it down into itself. I was curious, and I speculated that maybe the water was just deeper in those spots. I sipped my glass of water at the end of the pier, the ice clinking against the rim like muffled bells. I didn't know what to make of my discovery. Instead of dwelling on it any longer, I went inside, determined to finish another page of my book before I went to bed. Outside, the water filled with 2 more dark spots. The next day, the sky filled with angry storm clouds, and I sat by the big bay window, clacking away at my keyboard as the rain crashed into the ocean before me. Most people don't like rainy days, but as a writer, I feel like they are my most productive. The cozy atmosphere, the steady pitter-patter of rain, rolling thunder, as these things spark my creativity, and the words just come pouring out like the water from the clouds above. I was watching the waves, circling the next scene of my book and thinking, when I spotted the dark circles again. One of them was right at the end of the pier, another 5 spread around it. I idly tapped my finger against my desk watching them. They had moved since yesterday. I discarded my theory of depth change and instead wondered if it was a school of fish. It didn't explain the way it sucked in the light, but I wasn't an expert of the ocean and its many workings. I stood up, allowing myself a break from my work, and went to the door. I opened it, the overhang shielding me from the rain, and breathed in wet air. The air was fresh, smelling of new rain and ocean salt. I breathed it in and winced, the wind suddenly carrying a new odor, something foul and sharp, burning my nose with its repulsive aroma. I covered my face with a hand, trying not to gag. It was sharp, like vinegar almost, and I felt my eyes water. I slammed the door closed and retreated back inside. I went to my desk and took a seat, wiping the remains of the smell from my nose. I looked out onto the water. The dark patches of water had moved closer to the house. That night, I couldn't sleep. I had awoken only an hour after going to bed and couldn't will my mind back into sweet slumber. I went to my back deck and stood in the darkness, watching the water, letting the repetitive lapping of waves slow my mind. It was something I'd done before when I couldn't sleep, my mind still buzzing with ideas and worries. The wind whipped my hair across my face, a warm breeze filled with ocean scents. The moon spilled its white light into the water in tiny peaks of rolling waves. I listened to them smack against the pier before me and breathed in the atmosphere. And then, that's when I heard the humming. At first, I thought it was just the wind, but as I trained my ears, I realized something was coming from the water. It was soft, but there was definite melody to the low rise of deep vocals. It almost sounded like chanting. My eyes settled over the dark patches of water. I hadn't even noticed them in the night, but when I actually looked, I could see the light of the moon around the edge of the murky perimeter. But no light filled the center. Instead, it remained as black as the deepest corners of space. And a definite humming was coming from the ebony patches of water. Something about the ominous sound chilled me to the bone. A slow, sad tune that carried through the wind with a haunting purpose. It raised the hair on the back of my neck, and I leaned down over the railing to get a better look. The circles were close to the wooden edge of my house, where the water met the wall just below the deck. The pier stretched out from the wall, resting on the surface of the sound like a red carpet. I took the steps down to my porch and walked under the deck to the pier. My bare feet padded across the wood and the sound of the humming became more pronounced. I looked to my right and saw a few of the circles slowly moving back and forth like they were being carried on the tide. What is that? I thought, staring out. And that's when something stirred on the surface of the water. It came with a sudden splash and a slice of white froth in the center of each of the circles. Something emerged for a split second. It was so sudden and the darkness was so deep that I couldn't see what it was, but it scared me half to death. It had all happened seamlessly and in sync. At that exact same moment, they all had mirrored the exact same action. I didn't know what it meant. Didn't know if I was dealing with animals or nature, but I knew I was suddenly feeling very uncomfortable. I raced back to the deck, my ears filling with the strange sound of humming. As I was about to go back inside, I was slammed with the awful stench again. I retched as the wind carried it down my throat and felt my eyes tear up. I grabbed the door and pulled it open, desperate to get away from the horrific smell. I stumbled inside and slammed the door shut. I stood against it and breathed heavily. And then I heard something very heavy thunk onto the pier outside. It came in a rush of water and weight, a loud exclamation in the night. Eyes widening, I turned and looked out the sliding glass door. In the moonlight, I saw the source of the dark circles. It stemmed from a huge conch shell.